Ever notice how the people who are most respected in the room aren't always the nicest? They're not the ones bending over backwards to please everyone. They're not the ones chasing compliments or trying to fit in. And yet, when they speak, everyone listens. When they move, people follow. Why? Because they've unlocked a power most people never dare to touch. A power that doesn't come from being liked, but from something far darker. Respect. This truth is going to sting, but it will change your life forever if you accept it. Being liked is overrated. Being liked makes you soft. Being liked keeps you powerless. And the more you crave it, the more you chain yourself to the approval of others. That's why people dismiss you, talk over you, and ignore your worth. You've been trained since childhood to believe that if you're nice, agreeable, and always pleasing, the world will reward you. But what has it really given you? Broken boundaries, one-sided relationships, endless frustration. Machiavelli, the master strategist of power, understood this centuries ago. He wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. He wasn't telling you to be a tyrant. He was showing you a timeless truth about human nature. People respect strength, not softness. They respect consequences, not kindness. They respect the person who doesn't need to be liked, because that person cannot be controlled. And here's the brutal reality. Every time you bend to make someone happy, every time you smile when you're disrespected, every time you silence yourself just to avoid conflict, you give away your power. You become predictable, safe, and disposable. Meanwhile, the ones who command respect, they understand something you don't. They know that respect is not granted, it's taken, it's enforced, it's maintained with boundaries that never bend. So, what if I told you that unlocking this dark power of respect could transform your entire life? That once you stop needing to be liked, people will treat you differently. They'll watch their words around you. They'll value your time more. They'll see you as someone who matters, not someone who exists to please. By the end of this video, you'll see why chasing approval is a trap that keeps you powerless, and how rejecting it unlocks a form of power that makes people think twice before crossing you. This isn't motivational fluff. This is raw psychology. This is strategy. This is the wisdom of Machiavelli himself, sharpened into principles you can use right now to change how people see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. Now I want you to pause for a moment and drop this affirmation in the comments. Respect over approval. Let's begin. The trap of being liked and why it weakens you. From the moment you were a child, you were conditioned to seek approval. Do what your parents say, and you're rewarded. Follow the rules at school, and you're praised. Keep your head down, agree with everyone, and you'll be liked. And so, you grew up learning that your value came from outside of you, from the smiles and nods of others. But here's the ugly truth. People pleasers are disposable. The more you crave being liked, the more invisible you become. Why? Because when you depend on approval, you'll sacrifice anything to get it. Your voice, your opinions, your dignity. And people sense it. They sense that weakness in you, and they exploit it. They know they can interrupt you because you won't push back. They know they can cross your boundaries because you'll stay quiet. They know you'll do more, give more, bend more, just to stay in their good graces. This is why Machiavelli warned rulers never to depend on love. Love is fickle. Love shifts. Love is conditional. Today they love you. Tomorrow they love someone else. But fear, respect, that holds, that lasts. Because it isn't based on how people feel about you. It's based on what they know about you. They know that if they cross you, there are consequences. They know you cannot be swayed by flattery, bribery, or guilt. Let's make this personal. Think about the last time someone disrespected you. Maybe they talked down to you, or dismissed your ideas, or ignored your effort. And what did you do? Did you call it out? Or did you swallow your anger and pretend it didn't bother you? Because if you stayed silent, you trained them to disrespect you again. You taught them you're safe to mistreat. And the moment you do that, you lose leverage. This is why being liked is poison. It teaches you to betray yourself for scraps of approval. It teaches you to stay small so others can feel big. It teaches you to become agreeable, predictable, unthreatening. And in a world where power decides everything, power in relationships, in business, in friendships, that makes you weak. People don't respect weakness. They don't respect the person who bends. They may use you. They may smile at you. They may even keep you around. But respect? No. That only comes when you're willing to lose approval for the sake of truth. When you're willing to be disliked rather than be disrespected. When you're willing to stand alone rather than bow just to belong. So understand this. If you want real power, you must stop chasing approval. Every time you feel the urge to please, to bend, to silence yourself just to avoid friction, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it's true to me or because I want to be liked? If it's the second, stop. Walk away. Say no. Draw the line. Because the moment you do, something shifts. You stop begging for crumbs, and you start commanding respect. And here's the paradox. When you no longer need people to like you, that's when they start respecting you. That's when they start listening. That's when they start valuing your time and your presence. Because you're no longer dependent. You're no longer easy to control. You've stepped out of the trap. Now that you see how approval makes you weak, the next question is, how do you step into real power? How do you earn respect without becoming a tyrant? This is where Machiavelli's dark wisdom becomes your greatest weapon, because he understood the psychology of control better than almost anyone in history. The first principle is this: set boundaries that bite. Most people have boundaries, but they're like glass walls, easy to see, easy to shatter. You say, "Don't talk to me like that," but when someone does, you laugh it off. You say, "I won't tolerate lateness," but when they show up 20 minutes late, you forgive it instantly. And so, your boundaries mean nothing. Machiavelli would say this: a law unenforced is not a law. It's a suggestion. A boundary unenforced is not a boundary. It's an invitation to be disrespected. The second principle, be unpredictable. People who are predictable are easy to manipulate. If I know you'll always forgive me, I can keep crossing you. If I know you'll always say yes, I'll keep asking. But when people don't know how you'll react, they tread carefully. They respect the uncertainty. Machiavelli knew that a leader who is too consistent becomes vulnerable. But one who can surprise, who sometimes forgives, sometimes punishes, keeps everyone on edge. And that tension creates respect. The third principle, control your emotions. Weak people explode when they're angry. They overreact, they cry, they beg, and when you lose control, you lose leverage. The person who controls their emotions controls the room. Imagine someone insults you. If you lash out, they know they've found your button. They own you. But if you stay calm, if you look them in the eye and smile, suddenly the power shifts. They can't provoke you. They can't read you. And people always respect what they can't easily read. The fourth principle, master silence. Most people talk too much. They explain, defend, justify, and every word they give away is a piece of power lost. Machiavelli would tell you, say less than necessary. When you're silent, people wonder what you're thinking. They project strength onto you. They assume you know more than you do. Silence creates mystery, and mystery commands respect. And finally, make people feel your absence. Here's the truth. When you're always available, you're never valued. The more people have access to you, the more they take you for granted. But when you withdraw, when you step back, when you make them miss you, suddenly your presence has weight. People chase what they can't constantly have. Machiavelli knew that distance creates power, and you can use that power in relationships, in work, in every aspect of life. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself, how many of these principles are you living right now? Do your boundaries bite? Are you unpredictable, or can everyone predict your next move? Do you control your emotions, or do they control you? Do you speak with weight, or do you spill words carelessly? Do people feel your absence, or have you made yourself too easy to reach? Because if you're honest, you'll realize this. Most of your frustration in life comes from breaking these rules. You get disrespected because your boundaries are weak. You get used because you're predictable. You get dismissed because you talk too much. And you get overlooked because you've made yourself too available. The dark power of respect doesn't come from being cruel, arrogant, or feared in the cartoon sense. It comes from shifting the psychology of how people see you. It comes from building an aura of strength, self-control, and scarcity. That's what makes people think twice before crossing you. That's what makes people listen when you speak. And that's what transforms you from someone who is merely liked into someone who is deeply respected. Machiavelli is famous for one question above all: is it better to be loved or feared? And his answer was as cold as it was brilliant. He said, ideally, both. But if you must choose, choose fear. Why? Because love is fragile. Love depends on emotions, on feelings that shift with the wind. Someone can love you today and betray you tomorrow if their heart changes. Fear, however, runs deeper. Fear ties directly into survival. People will hesitate to cross you if they fear the consequences, even when their emotions shift. And that hesitation buys you power. But here it's the twist that most people miss. Machiavelli wasn't saying you should be cruel, or that you should terrorize everyone around you. He wasn't promoting sadism. What he understood is that human beings are motivated by pain and pleasure, and pain is stronger. We avoid what hurts us more than we chase what pleases us. So if you want lasting respect, people must associate crossing you with discomfort. Think about it. If you're always nice, always soft, always forgiving, people will like you. But they won't respect you. They'll treat you like a pillow, comfortable but ignorable. But when you add a little edge, when people know that stepping too far comes with consequences, suddenly they tread carefully. That doesn't make you a tyrant. That makes you someone whose respect is earned, not taken for granted. Now here's where the subtlety comes in. Pure fear makes people hate you. Pure love makes people use you. But the balance, this dance between warmth and edge, is where the real power lies. Machiavelli would say, be approachable, be kind when it serves you, but let there always be a shadow behind the smile. That shadow is what keeps people in line. Look at nature itself. The lion is respected not because it roars all the time, but because it can. The potential for force is what commands respect, not constant displays of it. In fact, Machiavelli warned against unnecessary cruelty. If you must punish, he said, make it decisive and make it rare. Because repeated cruelty breeds rebellion, but one sharp lesson stays engraved in memory. Let's translate this into your daily life. Imagine you're in the workplace. You're friendly with your colleagues, you joke, you share stories. But the moment someone oversteps, say they dump their responsibilities onto you, you draw a clear line. Calmly, firmly, without anger, you say, no. That's not my responsibility. And you hold that line. They may not like it, but they'll remember it. And the next time they'll think twice before trying to cross you. That's Machiavellian respect in action. Or take relationships. Many people believe being endlessly giving makes them loved. But in reality, it makes them taken for granted. Machiavelli would argue that giving without boundaries is a form of weakness. True respect in relationships comes when your partner knows your love is powerful, but not unlimited. They know there are lines that, if crossed, have consequences. That balance of love and fear creates stability. And here's the deeper psychological truth. Fear creates presence. When someone loves you, you exist in their heart. But when someone fears you, you exist in their instincts. They feel you in their body. And presence equals power. Because even when you're not in the room, the thought of you shapes behavior. This is why Machiavelli was so dangerous and so effective. He stripped away illusions and told leaders the truth about human nature. People are self-interested. They respect strength more than kindness. And the art of power is learning how to wield both. Love to attract, fear to anchor. So ask yourself this. In your life, are you over-relying on love? Are you trying too hard to be liked, accepted, adored? If so, you've probably felt the sting of betrayal or disrespect. Or maybe you've leaned too far into fear, trying to dominate, control, or intimidate. And it's left you isolated. The Machiavellian way is not about extremes. It's about balance. It's about being warm enough to connect, but strong enough to be respected. Because here's the paradox. When you find that balance, people actually love you more. Why? Because respect creates attraction. People crave strength, even if they don't admit it. Deep down, they admire those who don't bend too easily. And so, when you embody both warmth and edge, you don't just gain respect, you gain loyalty. And this is the secret Machiavelli whispered through the ages. Don't choose love or fear. Become both. You might think Machiavelli's world of princes and kingdoms is long gone, that his ideas belong to dusty books and ancient palaces. But the truth? His principles are alive everywhere. In politics, in business, in relationships, even in the quiet dynamics of family and friends. The art of respect, the balance of love and fear, is timeless. Let's start with politics. Look at any strong leader in history, from Churchill to Mandela, to even controversial figures like Putin. What do they all share? The ability to project warmth when it mattered, but to draw hard, unshakable lines when pushed. Mandela, for example, is remembered for his forgiveness and love. But behind that love was steel. He never compromised his vision for South Africa. He was gentle in demeanor, yet immovable in principle. And that paradox, kind but unyielding, commanded global respect. Now think of business, Steve Jobs, for instance. People loved his vision, his charisma, his ability to inspire. But they also feared disappointing him. Stories of his sharp tongue and relentless standards are legendary. Was he cruel? Sometimes. But it was precisely this edge, combined with his visionary warmth, that built Apple into a powerhouse. People didn't just follow Jobs. They respected him, even when they hated him. That's Machiavellian respect, love and fear braided into one. And what about closer to home, your own workplace? You've seen this play out. There's the boss everyone loves because they're nice. But when push comes to shove, nobody takes them seriously. Deadlines slip, boundaries blur, and respect evaporates. Then there's the boss who rules only with fear. People obey, yes, but secretly despise them, waiting for the first chance to leave or sabotage. Neither extreme works. But the rare leader who blends kindness with an edge, they inspire loyalty and discipline at the same time. That's where true authority lives. The same dynamic unfolds in personal relationships. Think of couples where one partner is endlessly giving, endlessly forgiving. At first it seems noble, but over time the giving partner is often disrespected. Their love becomes invisible because it's too easy. On the flip side, in relationships ruled by intimidation, the bond corrodes into resentment. But when both partners maintain boundaries, when love is abundant but self-respect is uncompromised, the relationship thrives. Love flourishes because it has structure. Respect becomes the foundation for intimacy. Even in friendships, Machiavelli's wisdom echoes. We all know someone who tries too hard to be liked. They say yes to everything, avoid conflict, and constantly seek validation. But beneath the surface, people don't respect them. Why? Because respect isn't given. It's earned through boundaries. Contrast that with the friend who is warm, fun, caring, but who also says no when they need to. The friend who doesn't bend their values for approval. That's the friend people admire. They may not always like what that friend says, but they respect it. And here's the fascinating twist. In the digital age, Machiavelli's principles are louder than ever. Online creators, influencers, thought leaders, they live or die by perception. Too soft, and the audience loses interest. Too harsh, and they repel followers. But those who balance warmth with authority, who inspire love while commanding respect, rise to the top. Think about figures like Jordan Peterson or Brené Brown. Very different tones, but both embody that blend. One delivers hard truths that cut like a knife. The other offers vulnerability wrapped in strength. Both command respect because they refuse to be one-dimensional. So why does this matter for you? Because Machiavellian respect is not just about ruling kingdoms. It's about ruling your life. It is about walking into a room and carrying yourself in such a way that people both trust your warmth and respect your edge. It's about becoming unignorable. Here's a challenge. For the next week, watch how people respond to you. Do they respect your boundaries? Do they take your kindness for granted? Do they hesitate before crossing you? Or do they assume you'll forgive, forget, and fold? These are the subtle signs of your balance. If you're too soft, it will show. If you're too harsh, it will show. But when you nail the balance, you'll feel it instantly. People will treat you differently. They'll pause before overstepping. They'll value your time. They'll listen more carefully when you speak. This is the essence of Machiavelli's gift. Not cruelty, not manipulation, but clarity. The clarity to see human nature for what it is. To know that respect requires both love and fear. And to wield both, not recklessly, but artfully. Because at the end of the day, power isn't about ruling others. It's about ruling yourself. It's about commanding your own presence so strongly that the world has no choice but to respond. And that, Machiavelli knew, is the ultimate form of respect. So here's the truth Machiavelli left us with. Respect isn't built on charm alone, and it isn't built on fear alone either. It's built on balance. Too much love, and people use you. Too much fear, and people hate you. But when you blend warmth with strength, when you're kind yet unshakable, you step into real power. Because at the end of the day, people don't just remember how much you gave. They remember how clearly you stood. Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty. He was teaching clarity. He was saying, stop pretending people are better than they are, and start seeing them as they are. And once you do, you gain something greater than popularity. You gain respect. And that respect, that mix of love and fear, is what makes you unforgettable.